Today is Friday, January 9th, 2026. Welcome to This Week in Natural Refrigerants News, where we recap the top stories on naturalrefrigerants.com.
This podcast is generated and read by artificial intelligence and may contain pronunciation errors. We're your hosts, AT and MO.
And the articles for today's podcast were organized by naturalrefrigerants.com's managing editor and written by its writers.
You can find links to each article in the show notes.
All right, let's jump in. And it seems we're starting with a big legal decision, this one coming out of New York State.
That's right. Their very aggressive HFC restrictions were just challenged in court.
And they won.
They did. On December 22nd, the New York State Supreme Court ruled against the lawsuit from AHRI and Hardy. So the state's rules, 6 NYCRR Part 494, they stand.
So what does that mean in practical terms? What's the key takeaway here?
It means New York is, well, it's holding firm. They're keeping that GWP20 limit of 580 for new supermarket and cold storage systems.
For larger systems, right?
Yeah, anything with a charge of 50 pounds or more. And that limit starts now in 2026.
So there's a lot of certainty in New York. But that seems to be in stark contrast with what's happening at the federal level with the EPA.
A very stark contrast. It's almost regulatory whiplash. The EPA also put out a statement on December 22nd.
And what did that one say?
Well, it basically hits the pause button on enforcement for the 2023 Technology Transitions Rule. They're calling enforcement of the 2026 deadlines a low priority.
A low priority. So what does that actually mean? Which deadlines are we talking about?
The big ones. We're talking the GWP limits of 150-300 for cold storage, remote condensing units, and, maybe most importantly, the restrictions on HVAC installations.
Wow. So that's effectively a delay until the final reconsideration rule comes out.
Exactly. And that's not expected until sometime this year. So under the proposal, you could see something like cold storage compliance get pushed all the way back to 2032.
That must be incredibly frustrating for the companies that invested early to meet that 2026 deadline. I'm thinking of the CO2 system installers.
It is. I mean, you have groups like Hardy who welcome this for the, certainty it provides. But then you have companies like Hill Phoenix arguing that it completely undermines all the investment they've made.
Right. So while the U.S. seems to be slowing down, Europe is full steam ahead. Which brings us to Copeland and Dakin.
Yes, a big move over there. They're expanding their joint venture, and they are focusing squarely on the residential heat pump market, specifically with R290.
And this is for all of Europe.
Pretty much. The EEA, Switzerland, and the UK, they're rolling out inverter swing rotary compressors that are designed from the ground up for propane.
Which, given the EU F-gas regulation, is all about getting ahead of the curve.
It's all about speed to market. It helps the heat pump OEMs meet those very strict phase downs much faster.
And whether you're in Europe or New York, you can't make any of this happen without trained technicians. That seems like a perfect transition to the NHRC initiative in California.
A very necessary initiative. The North American Sustainable Refrigeration Council has launched a big workforce development initiative.
Backed by some serious money, I see.
Yes, $3 million from California's FRIP, the F-Gas Reduction Incentive Program. And the goal is to, directly address that technician training gap for these new systems.
So what are the actual goals? What will that money do?
It's pretty concrete. They're looking to strengthen existing trade programs and establish 2 brand new training sites by fall 2026.
With hands-on equipment.
Exactly. Hands-on CO2 and R290 systems. But they're not waiting. They're launching an online vendor-neutral CO2 course this month.
Okay, so they're starting right away.
Immediately. They're targeting 100 technicians with that first online course. It's about building that foundation now.
Speaking of building for the future, let's wrap up with some really interesting R&D that was presented at Atmosphere Europe. This one's from Fraunhofer IC.
Yeah, this is a fascinating project. It's about a low-charge R290 heat pump, but designed for multifamily homes.
A central system, then. What kind of capacity are we talking about?
A pretty hefty 28 kilowatts of heating. But that's not the amazing part.
It's the charge, isn't it?
It's the charge. They got the whole system to run on just 760 grams of propane.
760 grams for a 28 kilowatt central system. That's incredible. That really changes the safety conversation for indoor applications.
It really does.
Yeah.
And the way they did it wasn't one single silver bullet. It was a whole series of smaller compound changes.
Like what?
Things like using less oil in the compressor, insulating the compressor itself, and really optimizing the refrigerant distribution in the heat exchangers. It all just adds up.
The perfect example of how small details can lead to a major breakthrough.
This is AT and MO, and this has been the Week in Natural Refrigerant News.